Okay, welcome, and again, thank you for joining me today at this town hall session where we're going to talk a little bit about DPMAP, the Department of Defense Performance Management and Appraisal Program, or DPMAP for short. What I want to accomplish with this discussion today is just kind of reinforce a few points about what DPMAP is intended to accomplish here in DLA, as well as hear from you on what concerns and questions you might have about DPMAP. It's about performance management and working together as a team within the organization to accomplish the goals that we have set out in our strategic plan, in your performance plan. It's really about establishing that relationship, having good, solid communication about work, about what's going on in the office, about maybe barriers to achieving goals, and resolving those kinds of things. So really think of DPMAP as a framework for that continuing dialogue between the employee and the supervisor. It's way more important than what we call the system and what tools we use and things like that. Those things are important because we need them in order to comply with the DoD rules, but ultimately what we're trying to do with DPMAP and DLA is make it about the culture, make it about enhancing the culture of leadership and supervision within the agency. Okay, with that, I will be happy to take any questions from the audience.
Hi, sir. So since we are nearing the end of this performance cycle, I was wondering if you have any tips on maybe what I could focus on as an employee.
Great question. So really throughout the whole cycle, what we're trying to achieve with DPMAP is that increased communication. But as you near the end of a cycle and we get to the point of the evaluation of the performance, a couple tips. One, pull out your performance plan and refresh yourself on it. It's easy to allow the months and months to roll by without really going back and looking at the plan itself. Circumstances change, goals could end up changing, and the performance plan itself might change. But as you're nearing the end of the cycle and you are preparing for those conversations, I would start with that performance plan. I would start looking at what you have done in terms of your achievements across the year that align with what's in the performance plan, and continue to have that dialogue with your supervisor about things that are either that you are successful in doing, as well as things that are keeping you from achieving those goals. And that should be just woven into the daily communication with your supervisor. Always good to pull out what you've been jotting down in the My Journal functionality within the tool, in the IT tool. And that's a good time of year to remind yourself to continue to do that. Jot things down, memory joggers, so that when you do have that conversation with the supervisor, you can remember what happened 9-10 months ago, because it's easy to forget those things in the course of a full year.
Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, sir. What's the most important thing that supervisors should be focusing on as we approach the end of this first year in the program?
My best advice is to kind of get organized, make sure you've got everybody's plan, make sure they're up to date. The supervisor, him or herself, should also be looking at their own performance plan. If you recall, one of the things that we did in DLA is we standardized the performance objectives for supervisors and managers that include how well you perform the performance management process. So in doing that process, that supervisor is also being evaluated on their effectiveness in using DPMAP, using performance management to drive organizational results. So the same applies for a supervisor. It's getting refreshed on goals that have been achieved or not achieved across the year. And most importantly, and I can't emphasize this enough, it's communication. It's remembering to check in with your subordinates on a regular basis to see how they're doing, to see whether you can help. One of the things that DPMAP is intended to do is elevate the importance of the supervisory functions in supervisory jobs. So that would be the
Thank you, sir.
advice. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Yes, sir.
Sir, now that we have a new DLA strategic plan, should we be adjusting our goals to reflect the agency's new priorities?
That's a great question, and it's very timely because the strategic plan is still relatively new and being rolled out. It's extremely important that our performance plans align with the larger agency strategic plan, and I feel pretty comfortable that we didn't make enough changes to the strategic plan that would require wholesale changes to performance plans. But certainly as we move into the next cycle after this one ends, we will be looking for leadership to update all the performance plans with references to the new agency strategic plan. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hello, sir. My question is about the My Performance software. I find it quite hard to use. Is there anywhere I can find more information on how to use the system?
Absolutely, and I hear you. What we've done in DLA is we've created a website that anybody can access. There's a button on every DLA Today page, and within that DPMAP resource page, there's numerous guides that employees, supervisors can use, including some videos on how to use the My Performance tool. And I can tell you, you're not in there using it every day like you are some systems, so it's always good to get a quick refresh when you got to go in there either at a mid-year or in there to adjust a plan, or as you're preparing for the end of the cycle and you need to update the system with the appraisals. So there is, there's a great list in there of all the different functions that have to be done using the tool and how-to guides and videos that'll walk you through that.
Mr. Bunn,
Yes, ma'am.
how can an officer excel and go above and beyond the performance element that is essentially pass-fail?
Good question, and we've had a lot of discussions in the agency with different kinds of occupations that have certain elements of their job or their duties that in the performance plan you can certainly interpret as a pass-fail standard. The basic rule set is that given the system we're under, which is a 3-level system that includes fully successful and outstanding, everyone should have the opportunity to exceed the fully successful and get that outstanding. The exception to that is where there's a requirement that needs to be in a performance plan that is really that truly is a pass-fail, but typically that involves safety, life and limb or property, those kinds of things, which I could see that in a police officer position there might be some elements along those lines. What we have tried to do in terms of the guidance we provide to DLA organizations is either avoid using those kinds of standards, but if they must be used because of the importance of kind of a no-fail element of the job, that you limit that in the performance plan and have other elements that very clearly can be exceeded and ultimately provide a police officer or a forklift operator or somebody in the medical field to get an outstanding rating. So that's our policy, and if there's issues along those lines, we can certainly engage with your organization and provide some more advice and guidance on that.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, who else has a question? Yes, sir.
How can military supervisors of civilian employees be most effective in DPMAP?
Great question, and thank you for that, Captain. The simple fact is that we have hundreds of military members assigned to DLA, and many of them are in leadership positions that include supervision, direct supervision over civilians. And a military supervisor, in terms of their responsibilities, no different than a civilian supervisor. The advice I give to military members who have a leadership role in that sense, number one, go to the training and take it seriously. And it's really not that different in terms of supervising a civilian, supervising a uniformed member. You're evaluating their performance, you're setting goals and objectives, you're evaluating their performance, you're helping them to be successful, you're following their individual development plans, you're looking at their performance plan throughout the year. So it's extremely important that military supervisors engage in that process, because ultimately you're affecting someone's career with their performance ratings and their compensation with the awards and recognition piece. And we have integrated training into our military supervisors, we've integrated DPMAP into that, into both the HRM courses, as well as put the mandate out that if a military member assigned to DLA is a supervisor of civilians, they're also required to go through that training. Good question, thank you. Well, once again, I wanted to thank you for coming out to this town hall and sharing your concerns and questions on DPMAP. I can tell you that obviously the folks here are engaged, they take it seriously, and they see that DPMAP is more than just about the performance plans and the appraisals. It's about establishing that important relationship between employees and supervisors, really so that we can achieve our mission and support the warfighter in the way that we do. For additional questions, or if you have a question that you think of after this, please visit our DLA Human Resources website. As I said, it's on every DLA Today page. You can click on the DPMAP link. That also includes a frequently asked questions link that captures every question we've ever had on DPMAP since we began rolling it out well over a year ago. And in fact, your questions today will be added to our FAQ list. So once again, thank you very much and have a great day.